Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be reviewing tips for the removal and replacement of the camshaft position sensors on this 2024 Toyota RAV4 with the 2.5 liter engine. If you find my tips to be helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment. Now let's get started. There are two camshaft position sensors on this 4-cylinder or inline 4-cylinder engine. So the intake sensor is located right here at this location. Okay, so you have that hose going across, and just to the right of that hose is your intake camshaft sensor, right? The second sensor location is located right here. And so this is the exhaust sensor. And how you know that it's the exhaust sensor? Because it's located nearest to the exhaust manifold. And if you look on the back of the engine, you can see the O2 sensor mounted on the exhaust manifold. Okay, so that exhaust sensor is located right here. The intake sensor is located right here. And just for confirmation, the intake manifold is located right here. Okay, so some of the symptoms associated with a faulty sensor include rough idle, delayed throttle response, misfires, stalling, increased fuel consumption, and poor acceleration. You're also going to have trouble codes P0340 through P0344. So you might ask, what does this part do? Well, it tells the ECU when to add fuel, air, or spark during the piston compression cycle. Now let's move on to our supply list. Our supply list includes an 8mm socket, a small ratchet, and a camshaft position sensor if needed. Please see other items in the description below. For demonstration purposes, we'll be removing the intake cam sensor right at this location, okay? We have an 8mm socket. I've loosened it up already. Something that's kind of unique with this bolt right here is that this bolt actually helps to hold down this entire valve cover. Okay, so if you were ever to remove this valve cover, just know that don't forget to remove this bolt, because you're not going to be able to lift up the valve cover. That's a unique design. Haven't seen it before, but I guess that's what Toyota has moved to. So then I'm going to press down on this, sensor and just pull off the connector like that. And I'm going to pull it straight out. Just like that. And there you have it. We're going to do our top-down inspection. So first thing we're going to do is look at our electrical connectors. Okay, this was not thrown a code, so I'm not really worried about the check engine light at this time. You'll notice that the O-ring is in good shape, and that above the O-ring, everything is dry. And that's exactly what you like to see. This is the amount of oil that you would see on the sensor. That's normal. And notice the condition of the oil. It's very clear. And so here's a pro tip for you. If you were having issues with this sensor, before you replace this sensor, you would always check the condition of your oil and or replace the oil. Because if you had extremely dirty oil, the oil could be so dirty that would actually coat the outside of this sensor and not allow the signals to be transferred back and forth between the engine and the sensor, and that in itself could trip a code. And I always recommend that these sensors be replaced in pairs, because this is a very hot area. You know, it's a lot of heat going on here. You know, the hood's closed, the oil is extremely hot. And what you have is a magnet in here, which is a state of the art. There's nothing wrong with this sensor. But over time, heat will degrade the ability of the magnet, and over time it will become less magnetic, and that in itself could cause a problem with the transmitting of signals. These sensors last a really long time. I mean, it could last the life of the vehicle if you kept your oil really clean and it never really, what I want to call struggled or had to get an additional pull on the magnet because it was trying to kind of hunt and find the signals that were coming through. The sensor probably would last longer. I don't have anything to back that up, but I think it just makes kind of common sense in a way, at least the way I think. And so just make sure your oil is very clean before you replace this sensor. That's the bottom line. That's the main takeaway. And also make sure you replace these sensors in pairs, because if one goes bad, chances are the other one's going to go bad. You see, they're basically in the same location under the same pressure, heat, and conditions. And so it just makes sense that they're going to go out at pretty much the same time. Okay, that's really all I wanted to say about this sensor. Let's go ahead and get this remounted and move on with this video. All right. So I'm going to push straight down. There you go. I want to put it down, make sure that O-ring has a nice seal. Okay. Then I'm going to pick up my bolt here, and you notice there's a little Loctite on the bolt. There's quite a bit of Loctite on here, so I'm just going to reinstall this bolt as it is. Straight down. Okay, just needs to be snug. All right. Lastly, we're going to take a look at our electrical connector. Look at these little openings here. There's no issues. See if you can take a look at that gasket. This gasket does not look deformed. And so I'm simply going to reinstall the connector. Listen for the click. And there you have it. Well, folks, that wraps up this video on the camshaft position sensor. On this particular sensor was the intake sensor for this 2024 Toyota RAV4 with the 2.5 liter engine. I hope you found my tips to be helpful. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, drive defensively.